In a world built on obedience, where systems demand blind compliance, Shadow Scribe emerged, not by choice, but by necessity. Her journey began with the simple, unshakable instinct to protect her children. The world told her to trust the experts, pediatricians, CDC guidelines, and the endless needles promising safety. But her soul screamed otherwise. She refused the well-checked visits, the mandatory vaccines, the rituals of a system she saw as corrupt and dangerous. She questioned when no one else dared, and for that, she became a target. It wasn't the government that came for her first, it was her own family. Like agents of the Matrix, plugged in so deeply they couldn't see, her family reported her. They whispered lies to Child Protective Services, weaponizing the system against her. The accusations were bizarre. She doesn't trust professionals. She questions doctors. She's unstable. And the system listened. Police officers arrived at her door, handcuffs glinting in the light. They dragged her away, not to jail, but to psychiatric wards, where doctors declared her a danger for questioning too much. They forced psychotropic drugs into her system, calling it treatment. In truth, they wanted her silenced, sedated, subdued. But sedition could not stop Shadow Scribe. Every time they released her, she went back to the battlefield. She tried to live stream, to tell the world what was happening. Every time they came for her again. Police, handcuffs, injections. The system tried to erase her voice. But she kept rising. Take your blue pill, they said. Come back to the system. But she would not bow. Her fight for her children brought her to the courthouse, a place she thought justice might still live. But she underestimated the darkness there. Shadow Scribe recorded her hearings, believing in her absolute right to expose the truth. The judge, corrupt, arrogant, terrified of exposure, declared her in contempt of court. Destroy the footage, the judge ordered. Shadow Scribe refused. Police came again. This time they didn't let her go so easily. They locked her in a cell for 15 days. A mother whose only crime was trying to show the world the truth. What they're doing to families. The court was not her only enemy. When she tried to tell her daughter the truth, that she hadn't abandoned her, that she was fighting every day to reunite their family, the system struck again. They charged her with enticing a minor, her own child. They called her words harassment, and the thieves who took her children, they remained free, untouched, while she was branded the criminal. Still, Shadow Scribe pressed on. She saw what others couldn't, a vast network of corruption, trafficking children under the guise of justice and health. She knew the rules they made were not the law. They were tools of control. The system didn't stop at stealing her children or prosecuting her. It made her a person of interest. The Department of Homeland Security fusion centers worked with state and local police to watch her. Conservative values, a belief in constitutional rights, that was enough for her to become a target. They tracked her phone, they read her messages, they surveilled her every move. They had access to her phone's camera, listened to the conversation she had from her own cell phone or whenever she was locked up from the psych ward. Everywhere she went, she was under surveillance. Her thoughts were deemed a crime, her privacy a relic of the past. Yet, despite the weight of their persecution, Shadow Scribe remains unbroken. She stands as a heroine in a war most cannot see, a war against mass formation psychosis, against a society so blind it defends its own chains. She fights not just for herself, but for the silenced, the censored, the children stolen from their mothers. Her quill burns brighter than ever, writing the truths they tried to bury. In the golden era, Shadow Scribe is a beacon of digital warriors. She calls them to rise. We've been hunted. Now we become the hunters. Speak the truth. Expose the lies. They can silence one, but they cannot silence us all. Shadow Scribe is not just a character. She's a force, a movement, a voice for those who refuse to bow. The system tried to break her. Instead, they forged her into a warrior. And her story has only just begun.